This is not your typical podcast.
Get ready for adult conversations with bold changers.
Led by two unstoppable hosts with Down syndrome. The Audrey
And Jeremy Show.
What's up, guys? My name is Audrey Presby, and we're all watching the Audrey and Jeremy Show. A pretty awesome podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Jeremy Fraser. We are so happy you are here. Our guest today is a CEO, a founder of Diverseability, Tiffany Yu. Tiffany is an entrepreneur, disability advocate, speaker, para athlete, and the author of a book, The Anti-Ableist Manifesto. It's right here.
Right there.
I first met Tiffany. Whoops, I said that wrong. Sorry.
We get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So I first met Tiffany at Miss Amazing in 2019. And me and Jeremy recently saw her in Malibu for Walk on Water. Thank you for being here today, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me. And how fun is it that I've known you for 7 years?
I know,
I
it's
think
crazy.
you were 15 or 16 then?
I think so.
All right. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be an advocate and a world changer.
Ooh, good question. So I think most of us probably become advocates based on our own personal experiences of experiencing being treated in a certain way or people thinking we were weird. And so for me, when I was 9, I was in a car accident. My dad unfortunately passed away, and I acquired a handful of disabilities, including permanently paralyzing my arm. So I wear a wrist splint on my right arm. And much later, I'd be diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a type of mental health disability. And so for the first 10 years after that car accident, I didn't really tell anyone about it. I had a lot of shame. My body was different. I used to write with my right hand, and then I had to relearn how to write with my left hand. And I think those experiences really shaped how I saw myself for a long period of time. And it wasn't until I got to college that I started to meet other disabled people and realize that I wasn't alone in my experience, and also realize that I'm not a world changer on my own. I'm in community with a lot of other people like both of you. And that really inspired and empowered me to want to not only empower like the next generation of advocates to find their voice quicker, but to also see how I could make a difference during my time on this earth.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very impactful.
I mean, we're all advocates ourselves. I
Yeah.
mean, we also went to Washington, D.C. to advocate for SSI marriage penalty act.
Yep.
And because we want to get married.
Woohoo!
So,
Woo! Wait, is there some exclusive news I haven't heard about?
oh, yeah. Me and Jim would like to talk about our future together. So we've been talking about getting married for a while.
Yes.
And that has been a little problem because SSI have rules that we can't do. Like, when there was 2 people who have $1,000, each person have $1,000. The only month you can get is $2,000, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to like 3 different congressional state leaders. We can just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We talked to them about it, and we made one of them cry.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it was our first meeting, and he got touched by our big story. And we did that for the next 2, and then we did really well because over time, that day when we went to the Capitol Hill, we started out a little rocky. We sometimes mix up the words, or we try to say the words right and they come out a different way. But each meeting that we went to, we got a little bit better.
Good. And then, I think that's what's so interesting about being an advocate is it's really telling your own story and your own experience. And I think even if you don't feel like you're using the right words, sometimes the message transcends how nervous you feel in those first couple of meetings.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to have 6, but apparently there was this thing that was super important. So like half of the people that we were supposed to meet canceled, so we only had the 3 other ones.
And that was it.
For now.
For now, but next year we might do the same thing when we go back again.
Yeah. And it was like, when you mentioned Tiffany, our stories are mattered. And that's why we show up there and we keep fighting where we want. And that's why we are trying to use our voices and tell us our story to have that connection with different intellectual disability wants to get married. And that's why I think our story is very important.
Yeah. So you lost your father in the same accident that caused you your disability at 9 years old. Where did you look for support for all of these changes?
Wow. It was 1997. I'm a little older than you are. And in 1997, there wasn't social media. The internet wasn't that popular. I don't even think the internet came to be until 2000, but don't quote me on that. So it was very early stages of where you would go to find support. So to be honest, I don't think I had support. I do have this one really beautiful memory, though. I'm the youngest of 4, and the car accident was right around Thanksgiving, and I was at the hospital for 3 weeks. And so when I left the hospital, it was around the holidays. And because none of my siblings or my mom, none of us had time to go get presents, we literally went and found whatever we could around the house, wrapped it in newspaper because we didn't even have time to go get wrapping paper. And we sat on this piano bench that was in our family room, and we unwrapped all of the presents together. And I think to me, that is one of my most cherished memories of that rehabilitation time, because it just reminded me that we were still all there together, despite having gone through an enormous amount of loss. Yeah. It's probably taken me, so now it's been almost 30 years since the car accident. I will say that my dad is the why behind a lot of my work, as is 9-year-old Tiffany, because I think about the support that I feel like I didn't have right afterward. And I'm hoping that I can create change and community and support for other people, other 9-year-olds or other younger versions of ourselves, so that they don't have to be alone if they go through something really hard.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. Now, I'm just going to say this from the bottom of my heart. Now you have support. And you have our support. And your story matters too. And you made a book, and that's, I love. And it's
right
cool.
here.
Thank you. And,
Welcome.
and you're not alone either. And everybody deserves to be loved and equal and showing care. I think that is coming from my heart, and you definitely have our support.
Thank you.
If you guys don't know about this book, for our fans out there who is interested in this podcast, I would definitely recommend getting this book. It might teach you some things that might help you in a way that you won't have to feel alone. So if us three don't feel alone and you don't feel alone, we can have all the support through one book. So read the book.
Read the book.
Read the book.
Definitely read the book.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how diverseability came about and where it is today.
Yes. So if you look at the book cover, it says at the top, right above my name, it says Tiffany Yu, founder of Diverseability. And so Diverseability was when I couldn't find it was essentially when I couldn't find a disability community, I created one. And one of the things I realized in my own lack of support after the car accident was that part of what makes being disabled hard isn't necessarily existing in our disabled bodies. It's the lack of support externally. It's feeling like we're so alone in our experience. And so I became really curious if I would maybe not feel so much shame around having a body that was a little different, that worked a little bit differently, if I met other disabled people. So Diverseability started as Georgetown's first ever disability student club. That was 2009, 17 years ago. And then kind of grew to be like a meetup for disabled young professionals in New York City. And then, and that was around 2015. And then in 2020, we kind of grew even further to become what I would like to say like a virtual town square of all of the different people and advocates who were trying to push for disability inclusion. So for me, it's a really great place if you are newer to the disability community to better understand what are people talking about in the disability community, what are they working on, what resources might be available, and that's how Diverseability came to be. And essentially, I think about how for a lot of organizations, they're focused on raising disability awareness, but I feel like you can still be aware of disability and think that our lives are really sad or that our existence is tragic. And so our tagline at Diverseability is elevating disability pride, which is how can we be proud of who we are in all of our different identities? What does hope look like for us? You know, what are our dreams? Maybe we want to get married. What are the barriers that are holding us back from that? And how can we work together to overcome and address those?
Yeah.
That was a very impactful way. And speaking about your book, do you like loving writing this book?
Did I love writing the book?
Yeah.
No. I will say, and maybe this will happen for you too. So my journey to this book becoming a reality was not usual. So I had started posting TikToks and posting on Instagram, and someone saw those posts and asked me if I had thought about writing a book. And I said, no, I'm just making these TikTok videos, just like you're just doing your podcast stuff. And then this person said, oh, I'm actually a literary agent, and I want to rep you for a book that you're going to write. And I said, oh, that's great. I don't know what book I'm going to write, but have fun with that. And a couple months after that, I had a publisher, so the one whose name you see on the binding at the bottom of the book, I had a publisher reach out and they said, hey, I've been seeing what you're posting on LinkedIn, which is another social media network. And they said, have you thought about writing a book? And it just felt like, I call these gentle nudges from the universe when you're getting these different messages from all over. So I put the two of them, I connected the two of them, and together we started working on what ultimately became the Anti-Ableist Manifesto. And I think exactly what both of you have said, to me, this book was in response to the question, I'm newer to the disability community, I want to show up better, but I don't know where to start. And then I said, okay, I hope you can have this book, maybe either of your future books, other books by disabled authors as well, to really help color your experience of what our community is like. So I will say writing it was harder than I thought. And I wish more people talked about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a quote from the movie Crip Camp.
Yes.
Have you heard of that
Yes,
movie?
it's such a good movie. Oscar nominated.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And you should have Jim Lebrecht come on your podcast too if you haven't already.
Oh, we have not thought of that.
So that would be really cool.
Okay, I just planted a seed for a future guest. We can splice this part up, and then we can tag Jim on
Oh
this.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be great.
Okay, so Crip Camp on Netflix. Judy Human said if If I have to feel thankful about an accessible bathroom when I am ever going to be equal in the community. Judy said that in the 70s. Did you feel we have made progress when it comes to inclusion?
Yes and no. I think that quote still resonates today, where we are thankful for any accessibility. But I also do fundamentally believe that we are on the cusp of what I like to call a cultural shift around disability. So I talk a lot about how do we move from a medical diagnosis, fixation on treatment, what some people call pathology, to culture. How can we be so embedded within, have you watched the movie Wicked?
Yes.
You know Marissa Bodie, the actress in a wheelchair who plays Nessa Rose?
Yeah.
Like, that's part of a cultural moment. All of us dressed up in pink or green to go to the movie and knew the soundtrack, right? And so I think about the ways that we are infiltrating representation to even see Judy and Jim get to be on the red carpet at the Oscars, when they had gotten nominated. Like, these are the seeds that are starting to be planted. So yes, even the advocacy you're talking about how getting married will place barriers on what you can earn financially, and that those considerations too are things we're still thinking about. What is it? Almost 50 years after Judy made that quote, right? And so it's like the bare minimum is that as human beings, if we have a desire for human connection, romantic connection, we should marry who we want, right? We should not have to think about, oh, will marrying this person impact my benefits or how much I can make, right? So have we made progress? Yes. And I tend to be like a little bit of an optimist in this space, where I think that if we sit too much in despair, like if we feel sad too much, it'll lead us to inaction. Like we won't be showing up in DC. But I think that if we continue to celebrate the wins and realize that together we're more powerful, then maybe we will partner up on things and continue to push inclusion forward.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you tell us what inspires you to write the book, The Anti-Ableist Manifesto? We love the second part of the title, Smashing Stereotypes.
Yeah.
Forging change and building a disability inclusive world.
Yes. So I think, and this will come back to the DC trip too, I think we have looked at policy change, going and meeting with our congressional representatives as the win, when they pass the, when they pass a law. But here in the US, we've had a law called the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was passed in 1990. I was alive then. I think it may have been before your time. But the Americans with Disabilities Act is supposed to protect our rights in public spaces, including employment, access to jobs, right? But our unemployment numbers are twice that of our non-disabled peers. So despite having a law in place that is supposed to protect us, there's still a big gap between how many of us are able to get jobs, right? Mm-hmm. And so what that made me realize is, yes, I want to celebrate landmark legislation like that, but if our hearts and minds and attitudes around disabilities still view us as less than or broken or that we don't exist, then we're not actually going to implement those laws. We're actually not going to execute them. They end up becoming performative. Mm-hmm. So this book is an attempt to kind of close that attitudinal gap, to say, okay, we want to pass all the laws because that will help protect our rights, but first we need to get everyone on board to see us as peers, to see us as equals. And once we're able to get there, like I love that you shared that during one of those meetings, they cried because they understood the pain that you were experiencing or the frustration you had around this matter. And hopefully that person can then go and be your greatest advocate to help push this through, right, in the spaces that we don't get access to. So that's the inspiration behind the book, which is let's get all of the mindsets and perceptions around our community on board so that we're all saying, okay, disabled people, we exist everywhere. We have culture, music, we love to surf, like our lives are very full and abundant and colorful. And let's pass some laws. And all of that together, I think, will help create the type of transformative change that we're hoping for.
I like that answer because that's what we wanted. And when you could say that, I was like, wow, this is come from each person's hearts. And especially like showing up. You always need to show up and speak for yourself and advocating. And I like when you just said the gap of that book because that is so true what you just said. And that's kind of coming from me and my bottom of my heart. So I'm glad you made this book. And I'm definitely going to read this book.
Yeah, I'm a book reader too, so I can't wait to read it.
Me too.
Can you define ableism for us? And is there a nice way to correct people?
So the definition of ableism that I use is when we devalue someone based on the way their body and or mind works. So more simply put, it could be the devaluing of disabled bodies and or minds, or just thinking that a disabled person is less than, is essentially what ableism is. Your second question, is there a kind way to call someone out?
Yeah, a nice way to correct people.
A nice way to correct people. So I think curiosity goes a long way. So if we notice someone is saying something that makes us feel like we're less than, we could say, hey, did you mean to say that? Or, hey, if you're friends with that person, when you said this, it made me feel a certain way. It reinforced this stereotype around disability that's harmful for our community. So for me, one thing you'll learn in the introduction of the book is that for me, learning should never be about shame. Because I think when we shame people, they kind of like shut down a little bit and don't want to engage in conversation. But I think if we lean into curiosity, lean into using that curiosity to deepen connection, then that can be a way to bring more allies on board to say, oh, I'm so sorry I used that language. I won't use it going forward, right? Or thank you so much for letting me know. Like, I'll make sure to change that action going forward.
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, I have a little story up behind that. I make this short and sweet. So this dude come up to me and said, wow, I love this guy because he has Down syndrome. How on earth I can't answer that? And I was like, okay, I would have calmed myself down a little bit. And at first he was like, I thought he was screaming at me, and I thought he said, hey, and I said, a guy, I'm your guy. And it sounds like it's weird and it's funny, but yeah, I'm gonna end it there. So he did that, and he said, I love this guy with Down syndrome. And he was pointing at me, and I was like, what?
And he didn't know you.
No, it was like a random guy.
And he just announced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even I heard the story. It was, the guy was like, oh, I love people with Down syndrome. Do you know what Down syndrome is? Do you know what it means?
Do you know somebody that you know who had Down syndrome?
Do you have anybody that you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, well, you met two people with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. Well, one person with Down syndrome at that point.
Yeah, it was.
It was him.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, and it made you feel a certain way. It made you feel like kind of singled out.
Yep.
And one other script I use in the book that is a not so nice way is just saying, "Hey, that's not cool," you know. But you kind of have to have a level of confidence or a bystander, like another person there, to be able to say. Because in the moment, sometimes we're just so shocked. I mean, I share an experience in the book where I was riding a train and I had to bring my luggage on the train, and the place where you put your luggage is underneath the seat. So with my one hand, I kind of had shifted the luggage over, and this guy actually shoved me out of the way. He shoved my luggage under the seat, and then he turned to me and goes, "You should really ask for help." And now, on a baseline level, for me, I kind of felt like how you felt. I was just a little shocked, right? Because I was doing just fine, but I was just doing it in my own way, right? And so I think you can relate in that we have a lot of experiences like that. We call those microaggressions, where someone may think they are well-intentioned, but it makes us feel a certain way. Yeah. And when it happens over and over again, it makes some of the more overt ableism okay. To say, okay, we're not going to pass this law. We're going to make it harder for people who have intellectual disabilities to get married. So yeah, it does start with kind of those small slights.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a situation like that, but that seems kind of bad.
It is.
Putting people on the spot. Like
It was.
It's like a director. It's like a director actually to be like, okay, here's your lines. Go on stage. Okay, now you're in the spotlight. Now wow the audience.
That's a good.
No simple direction. No examples.
No
Just
example of
step
doing
right in
something.
and don't get out. Am I trapped or am I in the zone? I don't know.
Yeah, I think part of it too is there's kind of this expectation for us to always have to perform or educate, right? Kind of like what you're saying about the director. And sometimes we just want to exist.
Yeah.
We just want to go about our daily lives. And I think that's part of the, whether we call it the dehumanization, that's part of the ableism too, is we are these objects to inspire or to perform or to educate all the time, that we don't have the space to just exhale, just breathe.
Thank you. I might need to start doing that myself.
That reminds me of a song.
Yeah.
Just breathe. I don't know the artist's name.
We speak in elementary school and tell students to avoid ableism by remembering the golden rule. What would you say to someone who wants to be a better advocate or a friend?
If they're in elementary school or for any age?
Like any age.
Any age?
Yeah.
Well, I have a 250-page book that answers that question in depth.
There you go.
But I think on a baseline level, I think it's getting to know all the facets of who we are, right? Not being distilled down to simply the fact that you have Down syndrome or that I have a paralyzed arm. Like, get to know what our interests are, invite us to things. I just went to my first Dodgers game, and I got to invite my friend who's a little person to come with me, right? And so it's like, I just want to experience the fullness of life, and so I think just getting to know us, and I call this intimacy, because some of the best allies that we have are our friends. They get to, the number of, if I have a friend who travels with me or someone who's with me for a period of time, they will actually notice how many times someone asks me what happened to your arm, strangers, anyone, and they'll say, oh, I never realized how many times you have to answer that question. right? And I think about people who have more visible or apparent disabilities who get stared at or get asked questions, intrusive questions around our disabilities a lot when, we kind of just want to exist and be going about our daily lives.
Yeah. So, Jeremy might have mentioned in the question that we speak to elementary schools. So when we go into the talk for ableism and how to avoid it, most of the questions that they give us is not about the topic. It's about us getting married to each other.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like, when are you going to get married? Are you engaged yet? Oh, I don't know. 3 years. You have to wait, man.
The reason I'm still waiting is because you mentioned laws.
Yes.
And I want the SSI marriage act
To get shut down.
not just shut down. Like I want to
Eliminate
pass that law.
it.
I want that law to pass, and that's why I think it's. To be honest with you, it's kind of really hard for me to just not just getting married, but that law. If some reason that not passed, I will not be married. Mm-hmm. If that
To me.
if that law was passed, I would definitely get married to you.
Definitely to me.
Yeah.
I feel
It's
like
been hard for me.
I'm the third wheel on this podcast. I think that's part of ableism too, is that daily life human experiences like getting married adds an extra layer that we have to think about, right?
Yeah.
And I think that extra layer showcases and that's a systemic barrier,
Yeah.
showcases the attitudes that they're like, oh, people with Down syndrome don't get married. So we're going to make it very difficult, all of the assumptions that are kind of embedded that make it harder for us to participate in daily life.
Yeah.
That's why it feels like it's hard for me. And it's hard.
He really wants to marry me so bad.
It's hard, like the law and
Yeah, the laws.
yeah.
You did
Hoops again.
Yeah.
You did everything you could. But also, I think, what's been interesting is I have talked about the SSI income caps and the marriage penalty. And oftentimes when I share it with my non-disabled friends or even other people within the disability community who are not on disability benefits, they're not aware. So I think part of it is, and this is what this book was about too, is how do we not just kind of exist within our communities who know how difficult this is and make sure that we spread it more broadly as well, so that they can write letters to their elected officials too.
Yeah. We can understand that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay, so we saw on your website that you are hired to speak on several topics. Is there one topic people seek more than others?
Yes, there's one people seek more than others, and then there's one that I feel like is more impactful than others. So I'll share the two of them. So one is kind of like an hour-long version of the book.
Yeah.
So it's saying, hey, this may be your first introduction to disability. Let me take you through the current landscape of the disability community. My background is in finance, so I really like research. So I'll bring in some research. There's some stories in there. Then let's talk about microaggressions. We talked a little bit about that in this conversation. And then how do we actually build not only psychological safety in our workspaces, but build a disability inclusive culture in those spaces as well. So that one is very educational. We've touched a lot on it because it pretty much is an hour-long version of the book. And then the one that I actually feel like, I gave a TED Talk in 2018. It's called The Power of Exclusion. And I talked about how when I was a kid, after I became disabled, I felt like there were very little efforts made to try to integrate me into my gym class. So I would get dressed for physical education every single day. We reconnected because we did this surfing thing that was so fun. But 28 years ago, I would have never even known something like that would have existed. And so it made me believe that sport was not for me. And I believed that narrative for 20 years. So that talk is just about how excluded I felt in this gym class growing up, and actually how feeling so alone and isolated has a really negative impact on your self-esteem, how you view yourself. And interestingly enough, there was a pediatric hand surgeon, so a hand surgeon who works with kids who have my disability. He watched that talk, and as a result of watching that TED talk, he decided to add a mental health professional to the rehabilitation team for kids who have my disability, who have to get surgeries. So that actually felt like a really big win, because I think that when you're a kid, you don't really know everything that's going on if you have to get surgery, and now you have mental health support, if that's something you need to kind of work through the emotional part of healing and rehabilitation and recovery.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people, and especially disability. A lot of kids are, you're like a role model to them.
You're a role model to them. I want a a walk on water jacket.
Yeah. I mean,
I gotta start
want that
volunteering.
too.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I mean, I know it's your thing.
You get to wear it sometimes though, right?
I only have the only thing new that I got the same day he got his jacket.
No, I'm saying, do
was
you
the
wear his
sweatshirts.
jacket?
No, but
Oh,
I should.
okay. Yeah, I would.
I mean, he got a jacket, but I got a sweatshirt.
Okay, and then I bought a sweatshirt, so we're all
So
we're all good.
So we're all gonna be rocking in our walk on water stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who ran an adaptive climbing nonprofit called the Adaptive Climbing Group. So this is indoor rock climbing for people with disabilities. And if you ever want to come, I've told your mom she's welcome to come. You're welcome to come rock climbing with me if you'd like. And so I decided to show up to rock climbing as a community leader, as the leader of Diverseability, say, I'm going to support. I'm not going to participate, but I'll just go because you came into my community and shared what you're working on. And she handed me a harness and she said, you're going to climb. And I remember, and this was about 10 years ago, I remember standing in front of the wall, and the narrative that was so loud was, I can't. That was what I grew up with for so long. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, how do people with one hand climb? So I started going and I started making my way up. It's a lot of legs. You put your leg, arm. And then I'm about halfway up and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm too tired. And I turned back and the person who was holding the rope for me, he's like, just rest. Who would have thought, right? When you're tired, you just rest. And I'm still hanging on the rope there and I continue climbing and then I reach the top. Something shifted in my brain chemistry that day that started to rewrite the story from this past version, which said, I'm not an athlete, to, hey, maybe I can rock climb. And so about 2 years ago, I got introduced to another nonprofit called Angel City Sports. Do you know them?
I don't think so.
That's okay. LA-based nonprofit called Angel City Sports. And they were like, hey, if you have a physical disability and you want to do a triathlon, we will sponsor the entry fee for you to do it. And it had been on like some bucket list of mine to do a triathlon. So I said, okay, I'm going to sign up. And I show up. And I will say that even after I had done the triathlon, the number of times I still said I'm not an athlete, so many times, it came up, right? Because that rewriting, it takes time. So yeah, now I feel like I've kind of been on a journey of thinking about all of the things that 9-year-old Tiffany wanted to do but didn't get to because she became disabled. That is part of how I found Miss Amazing. You know, I think 9-year-old Tiffany would have loved to do something like that. And then I thought about the ways that 9-year-old Tiffany loved rock climbing at my friends' birthday parties growing up, at birthday parties at these rock climbing gyms. And then how freeing surfing is, you know? And so 9-year-old Tiffany remains the why behind this new chapter of Tiffany going from an advocate to an author to an athlete. It's a lot of A's. Yeah. And it feels like redemption. It feels like the number of times a younger version of myself has gone into a space and thought, this is not for me, or I can't, and turning that into, just let me try, and let me do it among community. And so that's what I do as, now I'm on the USA paraclimbing team, which is great. We're gonna be, paraclimbing is gonna be in the LA 28 Olympics and Paralympics that are coming up in a couple years.
Wow.
And surfing is fun because we live here
Oh yeah.
in the Los Angeles area.
Pretty awesome.
So what?
And surfing's very
Yeah,
new. So when I
yeah.
saw you at a walk on water, that was only my second or third time ever being on a surfboard.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
it's new. Yeah.
Wow.
Are you enjoying it so far?
It's so fun. It's so fun and hard, and I like the idea that at any age we can be a beginner and learn something new.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, me
Yeah. Yeah.
too. What did you wish more people understood about people with disabilities?
That's a good question. I have something I call the assumption funnel. Do you remember there was like a commercial that came out with Madison Tevlin? She's this actress.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Assume
yeah,
that I
she's one
can't.
of
Oh,
their
you were.
friends.
Yeah, you were in one of them or something. So, essentially, what ends up happening for those who haven't seen it, the spot it opens by saying, "Because you assume that I don't drink, you don't serve me a drink, so I don't drink." Right. So, to answer your question, I think a lot of people are making assumptions about us, and then they take an action that actually reinforces the initial assumption. So in this case, it's saying, okay, Madison doesn't drink. The action I take reinforces the assumptions because I'm not giving her a drink. And I think about all of the ways those assumptions infiltrate and impact our lives. So it could be like, Tiffany can only type with one hand, so I assume that she can't write a book. So I don't give her a book deal, so she doesn't write a book. Or I assume that that Jeremy doesn't want to get married, so we have a law that makes it very difficult, so he doesn't get married, right? The action that people are taking is reinforcing the initial assumption. Hopefully that will change. I see the sad look on the
Thank
face,
you.
so I didn't mean to bring that one up.
Thanks.
But it could be like, oh, I assume that because of this person's disability, they can't do this job, so I don't interview them for the job, so they don't even get the job in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more of a broad, what I wish, it kind of reminds me of, I wish people would just give us a chance to show them what we can do first before they make assumptions and take actions that create barriers for us, that make it harder for us to do the things we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What goal or dream are you still hoping to accomplish in the future?
Okay, I think it would be really cool to compete in the Paralympics in LA 28.
Oh, definitely.
Right now, I am ranked 9th in the world, which is pretty cool. I'm the only single-arm female competitive climber in the world. But, no but. That would be a cool dream. I'm working toward it. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to require a level of discipline. And yeah. And then I think my other, is this what dream? I'm like looking at your sheet. I think the other one is, I think I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, I think a lot about how when I was 9, I experienced some things that I don't want other 9-year-olds to experience. And I don't want to lose that sense of awe and wonder as we grow up and as we experience more adult things. So how can I find as many opportunities as possible to not only reconnect with my younger self, but just have fun? And that's actually where surfing came in. There's something like so fun. And also like even the move to Los Angeles. I grew up in Washington, D.C. It's so fun here. Hollywood is here. You know, there's so many people who are working on creative projects all the time and want to launch podcasts. And we're in the mecca of creativity. You know, people are so creative here in so many different ways that it inspires me to think about other ways I can add color into my life.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. What advice would you give to someone who is nervous about trying something new or chasing a dream?
That's such a good question. So I am an overthinker, which means in my brain I have like 15 different questions going on about how I'm gonna pursue like a big project or pursue a dream.
Yeah.
One way that has worked, or I guess two ways that have worked for me. One is having a community of other people who want to try that thing. So I'm so grateful that I got to be part of a writing group as I was writing the book, but also breaking it down into small tasks and not letting the numerous questions get in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we heard all of that.
Yes, I was like, you are now fully hydrated.
Thank you. We just found some water. I like that because
I mean, do you have a big dream that you're working toward?
Yeah, I do. I love this podcast. But my big dream is to have my own art online business.
Okay.
And my big dream with that is I would eventually start working with celebrities and make some really cool custom clothes and bags and paint walls and stuff for their music videos or their photo shoots, or have my designs on their tote bag or their shoes. Maybe their headphones or AirPods. Maybe they want me to customize some really cool sweatpants or something like that. And I would love to do that because if I work with these kind of celebrities, like a lot of people, like art singers and actors and those celebrities, I would definitely work with, because if my skills are getting pretty good at it, I was probably eventually gonna get noticed by them. I'm also a dancer. I love dancing. I think you probably knew that when I did Miss Amazing. I would naturally bring that up, and then I'd be like, oh, I would love to be your background dancer if one of them quits.
Ooh.
wow.
Yeah, that's my big
Yes,
dream.
thank you. I think we should put them out into the universe. And you never know who's watching, who might have a connection to someone who maybe needs, some custom art on their jacket or something as they go to a red carpet event or something.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I feel like that'd be cool. And it's all gonna be just by hand. So it'll be me by hand doing all of it. That's my big dream.
You mentioned that you overthink.
He
Can
also
relate
overthinks.
to that. I overthink a lot. Like
We're both gold medalists in overthinking.
I have like a lot in my brain. Like I have like 1,000 questions in my head.
It's one of the questions is like, when am I gonna marry my wife?
No, it's like something that I probably need to work on. Probably.
Maybe, yeah.
And there actually are, I have found some AI tools helpful for my overthinking that I'm just like going back and forth and it helps a little. But
Yeah, I think my dream is become a singer.
Ooh.
And
nice,
trying to get myself out there a
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if I make it that far, I can make it as a dream. Probably, yeah, I mentioned I'm an actor. I'm in this show
Oh, I think I know what show this
The
is.
Ben saw this. I'm in a show called.
Does it start with bad?
It's called Bad Thoughts.
Oh yeah, I was right. I was right.
So my big dream related to them is hopefully the same thing at the red carpet and hopefully win an Emmy. That was part of my dream to win
Ooh, yeah.
an Emmy. So
Oh, but Emmy would be cool though.
yeah, so that's my two dreams I'm pursuing right now.
Yes. And you're taking action. And what's cool is I have a friend, her name's Erica Lupinacci, and she just worked on, I think it's called The Ride Ahead. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
They just won an Emmy.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all, I think it shares the story of, I couldn't tell you more specifics about it, but it's something connected to the disability community. And I saw that they had won an Emmy recently. So we're also seeing like more representation on that level within our community too. So it's not out of reach.
Yeah.
Thanks. Where can our listeners find you and support your mission?
Great question. So the best place to go is my website. If there's a camera on the screen over there, it's tiffanyyu.com. And while you're there, if you're interested in the book, you can get the book in print, audio, or ebook at your favorite book retailer. And then you'll also see all of my social media links if you want to connect with me there.
So thank you for coming down here and do this podcast with us. And we're glad that we talked. And thank you for your time, man.
Thank you. We could have talked forever, so maybe there will be a part two.
I hope
Hopefully
so.
And
Part
then you
two.
can ask your random question.
Yeah.
We'll save it.
We'll save it, definitely.